me know when everybody's on.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say just first kind of evaluation of practice. The guys were competitive again today, all the way down to the last rep of practice, which is great. I think for our frontline guys, it's, as I said yesterday, but again, I was thinking more about it even, so it is critical to keep our competitive juices flowing. I don't think you can just shut that off and then expect to turn it right back on, 2, 3, 4 days before a ball game. I think you need to keep those competitive juices going. That's why we practiced so hard the last 2 days. Also, when I look at our younger players, I see a fire in those guys' eyes to say, hey, here's my chance, to show something. And again, some guys showed up today, which was great to see. And these haven't been long practices, but they've been upbeat, they've been energized, they've been competitive. And the end result is, you're happy walking off the field saying, we were productive for a practice when we don't even know who our opponent's going to be yet. That we came out and got a lot of really good work done. We spent some extra time working special teams fundamentals at the beginning of practice with the big four station circuit, and got a great deal done there as well. So all in all, very positive. Obviously the guys are looking forward to figuring out where we're going and who we're playing.
You mentioned yesterday that you talked to some of these guys. What's your message going to be to Cody specifically in terms of weighing his options after this season?
I think that, quite honestly, Gary, is between Cody and I. And that's not to not disclose what we say, but there's some things when you meet with a player and you have a relationship with a player, some of those things are best kept between us. When it's all said and done, and Cody and any of the other guys make their decisions to stay or to go, I think it's a little easier then to disclose what we've spoken on and what we've talked about and reasonings for staying and or going.
How about just generally with quarterbacks specifically, in your experience? Kinds of...
I've seen it both ways. I've seen Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, Jake Locker stay for senior years and be top 10 picks, and I've seen Mark Sanchez leave early and be a top 10 pick. So I've seen it both ways. I think there's a lot that goes into that decision, and that goes into what you want to accomplish in your college career, what the rest of the draft looks like, what the needs are for other people, what your game looks like, how you can improve it. So there's a lot that goes into it, and I don't think you make it, like I said, emotionally or just on a gut whim. It has to be an educated decision.
Cody said if he comes back, being part of a championship team would be the #1 reason. Is that kind of...
Well, I'd hope that's what it would be. I'd hope so. I think that's indicative of his character. Cody is a Trojan all the way, and as I've touched on, we had a couple gut-wrenching losses, and probably nobody felt it as much as Cody, from a player standpoint. So he knows kind of how close we were. I think he knows how close we are. Another off season with us as a staff and our system, our schemes. The things that we might be able to accomplish next fall. I'd like to think that that's a big part of the reason why he would want to come back.
Juju didn't practice today. Did he get banged up yesterday?
He rolled an ankle yesterday. He didn't think it was bad at all in practice, but it kind of got really pretty sore yesterday afternoon, and so I just want to get him healthy again, by the time we're getting ready for game prep. So held him out today. We'll see. He's not the one to want to sit out. If anything, he wanted to get in and play, but I need to make sure he's healthy, ready to go.
I know you can't talk specifically about recruits, but is this time of year any more important than others, or do you guys have more time to spend with evaluating with these guys?
Obviously for us, we have a few more spots than we've had, and so we have a few more visitors than we've had, and but still it always falls back to at USC, which is different than at other places. We have to be very specific, because when you offer kids a scholarship here, you have to be prepared for them to say they're coming. And we're evaluating the best players in the country, the best players in Southern California, not just only on the football field, but from a character standpoint, from a competitiveness standpoint, from who they are in the classroom. And so we're really trying to do all of our due diligence. Last year we felt like we were rushing a little bit when you come in late, but we knew so many of those kids because we had been recruiting them at the previous school. This time around we've had our time to continue to work at it. We probably cast a little bit bigger net this time around than we did a year ago, and when you do that, you've got more people to evaluate, you've got more relationships to forge and to build upon, and that's just what we're trying to continue to do right now.
This morning, Herbie was real critical of the Pac-12 championship game starting at 9:26 and for the East Coast. Do you have a take on a Friday night, late night game for the Pac-12? Would you like to see it?
Well, I know the way it's structured now, I think we alternate Friday and Saturdays. Is that not correct? I thought with the Fox and the ESPN thing or something. I think the Fox was Friday. I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn there, but I remember something about it being alternating from year to year, Friday to Saturday. I think the goal that the Pac-12 is striving for is to get eyes, to get an audience. It was the only game on television last night. We're still trying to build our brand. I think we've taken a lot of really positive steps. You see it this year with how many teams we have ranked in the top 25, especially the Pac-12 South. I'm sure all of us wanted a better game last night, but to Oregon's credit, they played a heck of a game and won the championship, and probably deservedly so. So, I don't, one way or the other, it's not necessarily about how many people are watching, it's about the performance you put on the field when you get your shot. And, if we get in the game here in the near future, they could play on a Tuesday at 11 p.m. I really don't care. I just want to get in the game.
Chris Hawkins has been getting some reps at safety here this week. What was kind of the thought process behind
Chris has got a high football IQ. He got forced a little bit into action early in the season with Josh's suspension, and Adoree still being kind of young, working in. I think with Adoree's development and Josh being back and some of our lack of numbers at the safety spot, we're giving him a shot. We're giving him a look at safety. He's made some plays, he's been active. He had a big interception here today, returned it for a touchdown. And that's, again, I think that's his football IQ. If that becomes a full-time move, we're going to have to start to change his body some and get him a little more physical, a little stronger that way. And so this offseason is going to be big for Chris in the weight room of really starting to, if that's where we go, kind of changing himself physically to get himself prepared for some of those open field tackles that will occur on running backs.
Has that position changed in recent years, more of an emphasis maybe on coverage than being that big thumper guy?
Without a doubt. I mean, we're seeing so many 4 wide receiver sets, and with the 4 wide receiver sets, if you want to play man-to-man, one of your safeties is going to have to cover. There's just no other way to do it. And so when you can get some corner body types, a John Plattenberg, a Leon McQuay, a Chris Hawkins type, those guys that could kind of cover in the slot and still be able to roam the field, but then have enough physicality to tackle, it gives you more versatility. And so that's kind of where we're angling to as the staff, and we'll see how it goes in this recruiting cycle too, but that's definitely where we're aiming towards.
To that end, with the reps that Sua has gotten at linebacker so much time this year, are you as a staff, would you prefer to keep him at linebacker at this point than move him back?
Well, we did, when we made the move, he was really exclusively at the linebacker position. Then we went into a few games where he was really playing both, depending on some of the calls that we had. He was down and he was back. We'll go look at we'll self-scout ourselves when the season's done, and figure out what's in the best interest of us and for Sua moving forward. I do know this, he was ridiculously productive. I mean, we made the move and his numbers just started shooting through the roof. Tackles for loss, forced fumbles, interceptions, sacks, all those things just started skyrocketing. He's a very instinctual guy. He's a really good tackler. So it's hard to move him away from the ball, knowing when he's close to it, he can make so many plays. And also for Sua too, we have to make that decision, because if that's where he's going to be, we have to develop his body a little bit differently as well, so that he can play against some of the physical teams down there. So he's not kind of a sometime player at that position. If that's what we're going to do, we have to prepare him to do it at a high level.
Steve, you said when Josh came back that he was not going to be available through at least the bowl game. Is he going to be available to the media tomorrow?
Not yet tomorrow, no.
At what point do you think? Will he be at some point? And
I would imagine so, yes. Quite honestly, I haven't put a lot of thought into it. I would, really want to visit with Josh first and get his take on it, and where he's at with it all. But yeah, I think in the short term, just right now coming out of it, I don't imagine he'll be available tomorrow. We'll see what happens in the next week or two.
Let's do one last one.
Justin gave us his role's really expanded. Right. Middle of the year, he wasn't getting the carries. How has he had to mature and kind of persevere through that?
Well, I think the one thing Justin's done is, we've made an emphasis on holding on to the ball. The ball was coming out, too frequently for my liking. We didn't give up on him, as you guys well know. We put him right back in a couple games where the ball did come out, because we have to develop confidence. That's part of our job. But I think he's really made it a point of emphasis. I think he's gotten his pad level much better. He's running behind his pads. He's running physical. He's caught the ball a lot better as well. I think he's got a couple touchdown catches on the year now out of the backfield, which is another key component to our offense. Really with Justin too, is he just goes about his business. He's a little bit unassuming, but he plays hard. I think his future is very bright for us.
Good.